For March the 30th, 2018, we talk about A Way Out, the Oculus Go, and we ask you to name your funniest game moment in 4 words or less. Welcome to level 236. My name is Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm Jala Prendes.
I'm Ben Merkel.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Ben, we're in the same room.
We are physically in the same space. This happens but once or twice a year.
Yeah. So Ben and I are together, and the other two are remote. But this is fun.
Yeah, I can look at Cole's surroundings and talk about how many bells he has and Simpsons paraphernalia.
Don't be coy. I am imagining that it is just like relentless eye contact, just staring each other down the entire episode.
Yeah, I asked him why the seats were facing one another at the beginning, but
this very small table in a blank, featureless room.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're both sitting at my desk. You know.
It is a nice setup, and the house is as clean as I would expect it from Cole. So.
Oh, well, I've been doing a bunch of spring cleaning, as I've been talking about. Mm-hmm. That's where I found my Lenny and my Carl.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I found 2 little rubber figures of Lenny and Carl from The Simpsons. It's one of the best excavations I made.
Excavation.
Cool. What is there more of in this apartment? Simpsons paraphernalia or glitter?
There's still, if you go looking around, like check the baseboards and stuff, you will see. It's
Simpsons paraphernalia.
No, you'll see the confetti. If it was glitter, I would be. I'd be dangling from the ceiling. But,
yeah, remember that was like what everybody was trying to tell him he needed to do for the next Duck stream, and he was like, "Oh hell no."
See, I only did the confetti because I knew I could get ones with big pieces that would be easy to vacuum up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's great.
People who suggest glitter have no interest in my well-being.
But I want to give a shout out to a listener who is interested in our well-being because he listened to the call.
The call?
The call?
Jack, the call for reviews for the level.
Oh yeah.
Jack left us a nice review. Thank you so much. And we have to give him his second of appreciation that we promised. Not eternity, remember? Like just the momentary appreciation. We got to give it to him.
Yes.
All right, seconds up. Stop.
No, I was grateful to see the review, and I'm also happy to hear that Jack is feeling better. So yeah. So thank you, Jack.
Wait, was the review good or bad?
It was okay. It was good. All right. He wrote very nice things.
We can thank him then, yeah.
Yeah. So Ben, why are you in Cincinnati?
I'm in Cincinnati. I'm visiting my brother and his wife and hanging out with their 5-month-old baby.
Okay, cool.
And so I was down there for the weekend, just got to hang out with them. And my brother has a light workload this month, and so he had time off, so I wanted to come and visit. So, yeah.
Very, very fun.
And then since coming back, I've had a very Cincinnati weekend. I was telling Cole this. I went to the Comet, which is an awesome bar in Cincinnati, and listened to music. And I had Skyline today. So.
Yeah. You weren't just at the Comet. You were at the Comet on Sunday night for Bluegrass Day.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they had a improv band afterwards with one of the drummers from the band Y. And so definitely even further a Cincinnati weekend. So
Yeah. And then you had Skyline today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's cool to have you.
Yeah. It's cool to be here.
Yeah. Jolly, you had some stuff going on this weekend too, right?
Yeah, sort of.
You were covered with mud.
Yeah, I was all covered with mud and doing stuff for hours on end and everything. So, for the people who have been following all the various things that I do that I talk about at the beginning of all these shows. Spartan Hurricane Heat, class 129. Mm-hmm. Yay. As Hurricane Heat is harder than a regular Spartan race. It is held after the Spartan race is over, on and off the course both. And it's led by the race directors, and you do whatever the hell they want you to do for the time that they have done that. And so there's a lot of, at least for the Hurricane Heat, which is the lowest level of the endurance races and events that they hold. For the Hurricane Heat, they is basically the intro course where you get a lot of team building and a lot of just PT and a lot of mud, hauling everything, problem solving, trying to figure out how to get stuff to work out within the confines of what they're told to do. So I've got to give a shout out to Schneider, who is a kid who just is finishing up high school and is about to go into basic. He was my partner for the part where we were duct taped hand and foot to each other and had to crawl under barbed wire and then do it again. And then do it again a third time, hauling a 5-gallon bucket filled with water. Okay. We were the first ones done.
Yeah.
Yay!
So this sounds like PT training as well.
yeah, right. So like, I'm sure that when he first got duct taped to me, he's like, oh hell. I got stuck with this little chick, whatever, and then we were fine. I set the pace and we zoomed.
Nice.
So it was all good. And I have a second shout out for my new Spartan Endurance gamer buddy, Devin. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he said he was going to check out the show on his drive home. I did not know that he was a gamer until after the event was over with, but go figure. And he's also an PC gamer, which means I may actually co-op something with him. Yeah. So
nice.
That cool. So cool.
That sounds about as pleasant as 6 hours in the mud could be.
Yeah, well, I mean, like we have this cute little thing called the Tunnel of Love, where everybody lines up shoulder to shoulder and holds a pike while people at one end crawl underneath everybody and then form on the other side to kind of centipede it.
Okay.
And we did that a lot.
Yeah. Well, that just like the crawling seems like the easy part. The hard part seems to be holding yourself in an arch like that.
Holding it up for that long, like your shoulders, it's more than anything, it's your shoulders. Right. And for me, I have spinal stenosis, so like my right shoulder is my weak point. So that was hard, but it was done. It got done.
So you just did it one-handed like a beast.
At times I was. Other times I had to take it down to my knees for a second and shake my shoulder out and then get back up again. But I wasn't the only one, and so that was fine.
Nice.
But yeah, so like there's lots of stuff that we did during that, but I'm sure people don't care about all those details. The next event that I've got coming up is the Brazos Bend 50K, which is a 31-mile race for the people who don't know what K to mile is. And I will be doing that. Huh?
You said that was a 12-hour event? Or is that something else?
That one's not timed like hour-wise event. The 50K is just a trail race. Originally I was going to run it, but then because I had the plantar fasciitis issues and stuff at the beginning of the year, I haven't been running. Therefore I'm just going to ruck it. Which I'm going to be carrying the weighted pack that I need to carry for the Hurricane Heat 12-hour that's in May. That's the that concerns me. So
yeah, you were in the pre-show. You were saying that's from 4 p.m. to 4 a.m.
Yeah. It's half a day, but it's like the time of day that you normally are asleep. So
at this point, if you did like the Marine Corps Crucible at Paris Island, would that be? And that doesn't seem like it'd be like crazy out of bounds for you.
Well, that's kind of a thing. People who do these kinds of events were all a little bit nuts. So like my friend pool is a real strange place.
Oh, congratulations on completing the event.
Ooh, yeah. And I wasn't totally spent or anything. So, I'm only concerned with the 12-hour mostly for just like my shoulder or, if carrying a ruck and having to do the calisthenics with the ruck on for 12 hours, like hauling the ruck, going places, hauling a heavy thing plus the ruck. I've done that before. It's just the calisthenics and stuff because my upper body with my spinal problem, that's my question mark.
Yeah.
We will see what happens.
Yeah.
But Devin, my buddy, is going to be there, so he has signed up for the entire endurance trifecta, so we're going to see each other again.
Awesome.
I'm just impressed. There's so few things that I could commit 12 hours to, like hobby-wise, so that by itself is just impressive.
Yeah, I could commit 12 hours to sleeping, but that's an accident.
Gloomhaven.
Yeah. Oh, dang. Fair point.
Oh, Dennis, you've got the kids by yourself this week, right?
Just for these couple of days, Jen is in San Francisco for a Silicon Valley boondoggle. So it's just me and the boys.
Are they
which
just?
we've already
Are they just
made
watching?
good use.
Sorry.
Oh, what's that?
Are they just watching the new season of Silicon Valley, or?
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly it. So yeah, it's she's actually out. She's not close to David, but she's closer than any of us are. So
Right.
she's out that way ish.
Same time zone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Same time zone, exactly.
Nice.
But yeah, we've been living it up out here. What's that?
That's close, right? Same time zone.
Close enough, yeah. So good times, yeah. We've been, playing, roughhousing, eating things we're not supposed to eat.
Oh, yeah.
All that fun stuff.
Doing boy stuff.
Yeah, doing boy stuff. Doing kiddo stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like we've all been pretty busy, but we've got a show to do.
Let's do it.
Let's do the show. So we've got the usual kind of thing for you, the brief, the multiplayer, and the grind. And we're going to get started with The Brief, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us. Jala, speaking of time zones, what's going on in Indianapolis?
So in Indianapolis, there is a teacher that is using an online platform that's called Classcraft in her 4th grade classroom. Students get to make characters, earn points, and complete quests using this system. So the teacher designs adventures and then has the students practicing math and reading skills in order to complete those adventures.
Okay.
There's, of course, controversy about use of gamification in schools. When isn't there controversy? But research is showing that games can improve students' scores in subjects like math and history. So the teacher that has been doing this at the school, she's been teaching there for about a decade now, and says that the classroom's been completely transformed and the kids are forming, closer positive relationships with her because she's playing games with them and they actually enjoy doing the games. It's kind of like, back in my old ass day, because I'm such an ancient person, like back when they used to have the little computer lab and you'd play like Number Munchers or some shit. It's kind of like that. Like you get some time to play a game, and even if it's somewhat related to school, it's still exciting. So for spring break, she worked with some of the students who were behind in reading, and she told them that they were on a magical boat that was shipwrecked, and as a class they had to collect enough crystals to for their ship to set sail again. And so you just give them a narrative and then just throw them at it, and then Anyway, part of the class is online, so the kids can bring laptops from school home and keep playing. And there's even an adventure map and everything. So they have everything as if it was a game, more or less. Right. And sometimes the entire class gets interrupted because there's random encounters.
What?
Win or lose points, and it's great. The best thing is that I think I talked about this a while back. I wanted to develop something like this as an app for fitness gamification, and with skill trees and all of that, and put people into teams and everything. So this is exactly what I wanted to do. So this is why this caught my eye. Yeah. But yeah, basically the kids have been more engaged and do more schoolwork at home so they can get rewards because they want to grind for armor and stuff. So they are grinding for armor by finishing classwork. Good on ya. So, and then not only that, but the kids have to work together. There's team building stuff because they are teamed up against monsters that they have to fight. And, those monsters are basically units of the material, I guess. So basically
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that basically most weeks the students spend about an hour a day completing math and reading assignments in Classcraft. So about an hour a day is about what like I said, computer lab was back when I was in grade school.
Oh, when you had the privilege to go to the computer lab, that was once every other week for us.
Yeah.
Right, but not a daily occurrence. But these kids get it every day, and they can take their laptop home and keep doing stuff so they can grind up and get cool armor and pets. They can have pets for their avatars in Craft. That's great.
Yeah, I'm kind of. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say that at the end of the year, what happens? Can they bring their avatar forward? What happens to that then? I really want to know.
I don't know.
I think this is really.
Oh, sorry.
I think this looks really cool, but I feel like there has to be a contingency of students who are like back in the class, people who are like, I don't want to do classcraft. I don't like fantasy or something like that.
I was actually going to ask that same question because I'm looking at their website and, watching their little promotional video here. No sound, but it is very much kind of coded as a League of Legends or World of Warcraft style, like high fantasy kind of thing. Like, I don't know, like I went to school with a lot of people who would have none of that.
I wonder if they have to make like a sci-fi competitor or something.
Yeah, or just like different skins.
Yeah.
Here's, they even have it, if you Google it, they even have it on the App Store on iTunes, on Apple and Android too. Well, anyway,
so
the thing about it is like, okay, if you've got the option of playing this game that you're not all on board with, or sitting with the textbook, which one are you going to pick?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Also, it's been 12 years since I've been in high school, so I have no idea if my experience even holds water still,
Oh, defo done. Yeah. Definitely ancient. We are so ancient.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I was about to finish up your It's Been because you had that long
pause. I left it. So
I was about to.
I realized what I did, and were you going to go bare naked ladies or stained? I just want to know. What's that?
I'm going to go bare naked ladies.
Okay. The reason I paused was because I realized I left myself open for that, and I hesitated, which is a bad thing to do because it creates more room for that.
So I will flip a table if this doesn't mean that your grade can go past A to S, double S, and triple S.
Yes. Got to do a Devil May Cry style.
That's great.
Also, I'm sure Blackboard is still a thing, which was just coming around when I was in high school, and like this could just integrate with that, and like automatically you get certain bonuses if you score whatever on a test, etc. Like I like it. You got to get your VPS up, your vocabulary per second.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
if it gets results, whatever it takes.
And that's really what it is for me too. And then like for me too, just I like the idea that they have the team building aspect to it because kids are mean. They can be very mean to each other, and they don't often end up, like in traditional schooling anyway, don't often end up teamed up in a way that's really meaningful to anybody. It's just like, okay, now that kid's going to slack in the group and I'm going to have to make up for their slack and that kind of a thing. Whereas with this, it's kind of like the incentivizing and the gamification helps to actually make that work a little bit better, I would think, or at least I would hope. So
the part of this that makes me a little bit uneasy is that it's free for teachers, like for unlimited classes. Like, what's your business structure? What are you doing with them kids' data? But that's separate from the results. It's just, I don't know,
a recent hot button issue.
Yeah,
it might be a funded type of thing,
Not true. Yeah, neat. I wasn't aware of this before, but now I am.
I was excited. I want to go back to grade school and play this game.
Oh, you can pay me to
if
go back
it's
to
like
school.
the educational games from when I was a kid, you just find like the least educational related activity and play the hell out of that one.
Yeah. Oregon Trail hunting.
Right.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about the food chain because I was playing this game called Odell Lake that, like, I don't think any of you are old enough to remember. So I liked that game. You were a fish in a lake, and you had encounters with other stuff in the lake, and you had to figure out like what you wanted to do, if you were going to eat it or deep dive to get away, or whatever, all this other stuff. Yeah, that's what I spent my time doing.
That was another MECC game though, so it was the same people who did Oregon Trail.
Yeah, it was all the same stuff.
Nice.
I learned all my World War II history from playing Medal of Honor in high school.
There you go.
Yeah. Cool. So I have it's going to be a short story, honestly. I was just happy to see this existed. So it's no secret that I really like my Switch. If I have a problem with it, though, it is that the left Joy-Con has, let's just say, a D-pad that is a bullshit non-D-pad.
It's a motherfucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
But let's just tell it like it is.
Yeah.
For real.
It's okay for Tetris or for like, I used it a lot for Picross lately. How many more times do I have to say Picross before it loses meaning for Jala?
Start the
You're
Picross
going to make
timer.
my eye twitch eventually.
but no, like it's pretty bad. Like, playing like Sonic Mania with that is not really good. However, the third-party peripheral manufacturer Hori is getting ready to put out another version of the Joy-Con that actually has a D-pad.
Yeah.
So
Yay.
I think the rationale for it not being a D-pad is so you can use it as a classic controller, right?
Yeah. So you can flip it onto its side, which makes sense. It's hard to, oftentimes you want to hit, it needs to be separate buttons so you can hold down a couple of buttons at a time, right?
Yeah. To be fair, though, I have not once used it as a classic controller yet. So
yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, like the article that you linked, Kole, was mentioning for all of you people who use it handheld more. Yeah, I'm using it handheld like all the time. I very rarely have a need to even take the Joy-Cons off. By the way, my Joy-Cons are still working, but then again, I haven't been playing it a lot lately. But
as long as they keep working.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, so these are Japan only for right now. They're pretty reasonably priced, about $25. Who knows if they're going to come to America? Or if they're even like cross-compatible.
I was going to ask that question. I mean, if
just get a
who
Japanese
cares
one.
when it comes to America, just get a Japanese one.
Yeah, I forget that that's an option. But yeah, it's cool. It's good to see people using the Switch's expandability to fix the problems inherent with the device itself.
It makes me
I was just waiting for a Nintendo Labo that was a proper D-pad.
Oh,
yeah.
Tape a little cardboard over it. You're fine.
Yeah, not very durable, but it won't put a hole in the wall if you throw it.
Are you trying to make sure that it's Jala safe? So.
Lots of people throw their controllers.
Yeah, but
I'm thinking
that's
of a
like
Nintendo.
an ongoing. That was a rolling gag with me and my Vita when
I
played DLR. I wanted it. Oh, it started with Danganronpa when I got to the end of that and wanted to throw my Vita.
You've been disappointed with my recommendation so many times, it's hard to pin down just one.
A couple of times.
Oh. Hey, Ben, what's this Oculus Go?
This is another kind of short story because I think we mentioned this maybe 4 or 5 months ago or so. Oculus Go is something that Oculus is releasing where it's kind of a standalone headset. So I think in the original time we covered this, I wasn't sure if it was standalone or not. But it's a headset you put on. It looks kind of unattractive, but it's like this weird Nintendo gray. But it's supposed to be kind of sleek, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I was just laughing because I'm just trying to picture like the cool sleek version. I'm trying to picture the person or the headset that looks good.
You could do like Wally eyes maybe and pass it off that way.
Yeah.
It looks like she has Tupperware strapped to her face.
Yes.
You can even see the spaghetti stains.
But so they re-talked about this at GDC this week, and they confirmed that the price point's still $200. It's going to have VR. One of the things they revealed that I hadn't heard about before is there's a handheld accessory with this that goes. It's kind of like almost like a Wii controller. Mm-hmm. It has axes of mobility, but in the review they said that there's only 3 axes of mobility, which seems a little bit limited. But mostly the games are still just kind of controlled by which way you look. And so they had some demos for different games that were out on it. And they're reporting that they haven't released a release date for it, but people are speculating that it's going to be sometime in May of this year. But that's delayed from originally they said it was going to be early 2018. So.
Nice. So when you say standalone, like this actually has some processor inside of it, like it is its own computer.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So you don't need to hook it up to anything else. A lot of people are kind of billing it as this is going to be what people will get into VR with. Yeah, because it's a pretty low price point. So
it seems necessary.
It seems cool. I mean, if VR is going to be a thing, this seems like a cool way to push it forward.
Yeah, $200 is its own. It feels different.
Mm-hmm. It's a PSVR. I mean.
I feel like a PSVR, like the complete set is like $400-$500, like to have the headset and then the accelerator you need for it.
You mean the like the handheld things?
No. I just mean like, don't you? So in addition to the headset, you need like an additional dingus that sits between that and the system.
You also need
like a PlayStation Eye.
You also need a buddy to help take on and off the PSVR.
Do you? Can you end up trapped?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
I'm pretty sure the latest bundle they had was $200 and had everything you needed to play sans the actual like motion controllers.
Oh, okay. I was probably incorrect. Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, our VR headset still hasn't gotten to the level of Johnny Mnemonic yet, so.
Are those the screenshots that you sent over?
Uh-huh.
They're nowhere near as shiny yet.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, I mean, a little bit of spray paint, it'll be.
Give it a little chrome.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I forget what I was going to say. In addition to this, I was going to bring up something else, but
it's bad podcasting. But these screenshots that you're sending, Jala, remind me of the secret agent from Heavy Rain.
Yeah, Nom and Jaden.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anybody who's seen Johnny Mnemonic can think about Keanu Reeves during that part where he's like jacking into the computer with a super shiny silver headset and using his little finger doodads to take apart the computer and hack it or whatever he's doing. It's ridiculous.
It's as shiny as it is, so they can discourage flash photography.
That was how anti-piracy was in the 90s.
Yeah, cool. So we'll see more about this. Like this, in addition to like, didn't they just announce like the new like high end Vive?
I've not heard about this.
Yeah, it is. It feels like it's following the course, right? Where you have the one entry model, and then it's gonna push down and then push like way up too. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to see that there's at least that kind of diversification. Oh, I know what I was going to talk about. Hey, Polygon, you're a fine website. You're okay. Maybe when you pull like the crazy little, like when you pull the text for like the highlight thing, maybe don't put in big letters on your site. It sits on the face, comma, very comfortably. Just a suggestion, if I was your editor.
Check your algorithms.
And then Dennis, round us out with more VR, I think. Or is this
ish?
It's not VR. It is still a simulation, though, right?
Yeah, more like fancy arcade sim on the level of like Donkey Konga or DDR or something like that. But Ben mentioned the Wii-like accessory, and this uses Wiimotes. A campus group or a design group at Campus Gotland in Uppsala, Sweden, created a game called Yo Bartender. And it follows in the genre of stuff like Cook Serve Delicious or Valhalla, where you are mixing and matching ingredients. Only this one uses real bottles, and Wiimotes are embedded in those bottles, and the light sensor, is embedded in the cup that you quote-unquote pour into to actually create a very realistic bartending experience, to where not only are you pouring stuff in and it has to be over the cup, but then you got to keep track of where you set everything between people asking for drinks.
Yeah. And then there's a bonus freestyle mode where you do a bunch of like Tom Cruise cocktail tricks.
Yeah. It's like cocktail RPG.
Well, that's where they got to go next. Yeah.
That actually reminds me, there is a game that was recommended to me by listener Farmer a while back, and I have it on my phone, and I kind of derped around with it,
Nimble
and
Strong?
then I just stopped. Huh?
Nimble Strong?
No.
Oh.
This one is Bar Oasis. It's a visual novel that's also where you're a bartender and you have to mix drinks for people, and it's like time management / visual novel, but you also tilt your phone and stuff as if you're pouring the drink, like, as if your phone is the bottle and all of that to make the drinks for the people. It's kind of awkward to try to play it. And that's why I played a little bit, and then I was like, I don't know if I want to get into this right now. And then I set it down, but I own it and I will get back to it sometime. But that is a game that is on mobile. There's also a sequel, continuation of the storyline that is set up between you and the patrons. So that reminds me of this, because you still have to physically tilt something and try to pour it, and you can over pour if you don't move it back just in time and all of that. So
I like the premise of like going to the locals bar as the first level, and you're just pouring straight shots, straight beers, but then you start going to fancier bars. Gotta get ratios.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The one that I've referred to is called Nimble Strong Bartender in Training. It doesn't have like a tilting thing. It's more about holding onto pressing down on the screen for a certain amount of time to fill to the right kind of ratios and things like that. But that also has, your customers are characters, and they have their own preferences and stuff like that, but they will also teach you cocktail recipes.
I did not know bartending games was a genre.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
That's why I was surprised when I said one thing and you said no, it was a completely different thing.
Do you think all of these are just people are at a bar and they're like, what game should we make next? Let's make a bar game.
I like drinking. People really like drinking. Let's make a game about drinking.
Any surprise that this is a college group? They actually had to scale it down because their original version was a full bar, and so they took it down to a rock band piano version of the game.
Mm. Nice.
But they apparently had something working that was life size, and I could see this isn't going to make its way into households, but I could see this being an arcade establishment or an arcade game that gets installment. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That it's got that kind of you intuitively get it on theme with probably where it's going in, and a ton of fun to boot.
Yeah, and that's a whole genre of things too, like the thing that is meant to be played at big events like GDC. Things like Two Rooms and a Boom or whatever. Basically, every year at GDC, I'm always very anxious to see what comes out of alt.controlled GDC, which is where this came out of. That is a yearly event. It's kind of just a yearly thing where people say we made video games that can't be played with a regular controller. But you need special hardware or an installation kind of thing in order to make it work. And it's always very inventive and cool to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and cool that they're still using, freaking Wii technology to do this. Just a tribute to how just spot on that technology was, that it's still being used in so many ways.
11 years later. Kind of a similar thing with Kinects, right?
Sure.
The worst thing about Kinect, the Kinect was the games that were made for it. Yeah.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Jala, what is the incredibly brief question you asked our kind listeners?
I asked everybody to tell us about your funniest experience playing a video game in 4 words or less.
Yeah. People really enjoyed this challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And some people miss that there was a challenge and do it.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm going to get us started here with John, if that is his real name, by saying, Halo Warthog grenade flips.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is defeating the purpose of making this multiplayer short. One of the best memories I have of Halo was getting a round-winning kill. I didn't get it. It just happened in the room. I'm taking credit for it. I got a round-winning kill on Sidewinder. Is that the big U-shaped map?
Yeah.
By shooting a rocket at the Warthog, making it fly up and over and land on the person who was carrying the flag. It was totally unintentional. I just missed. They died as a result of my shot, though, and I got credit for the kill.
There you go.
That was 100 words, but okay.
I like that you hedged that to be accurate, just on the off chance that one of the people you were playing with is listening.
I couldn't remember if it was in high school or if it was in college when we played. So
you're afraid Ben is going to be like, bullshit.
Yeah. How dare you?
J'accuse. Ben, what does Michael say?
Michael, in 2 words, says domesticated death claws.
Yeah.
Overachiever.
Dennis, what does Paul say?
He says MGSV mortared a helicopter.
That sounds awesome.
Now, did you hit it on the way up or on the way down? That determines how impressed I am.
Which one requires more skill?
The most skill is to hit it at the perfect apex of the shot.
Yes, that's correct.
It
lands in the helicopter, yeah.
It's turned into a Resident Evil game because a helicopter went down.
Mike!
Mike! Yeah.
Jala, what does Devin say?
Devin, hi Devin, says Team Fortress 2 NG, or TF2, sorry, NG no clip glitch.
No clip is 1 word, so it's okay.
Yes, no clip is hyphenated, and Team Fortress 2 is abbreviated so that we can fit it into 4 words.
That's the hack that a lot of people had this week.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we have to allow that though, otherwise we would know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Ollie writes, no death forgot Pate. Referring to Dark Souls 2. Pate is an NPC who can help you out in a boss fight.
Oh.
Do you like Even if it was just like completely mysterious, I'd be cool with that. Like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but that is mysterious and it sounds very important. So.
Ben, what does Greg say?
Greg says, Mini Nuke Fallout New Vegas, too close.
Nice. Dennis, Brian.
Brian says Halo High Impact Hump.
I don't know. I must have missed out on this maneuver when playing Halo.
I mean, I know the regular hump. I know we didn't call it humping. We call it teabagging, but you stand over the body and then you crouch and then I just don't know. Like, did you jump from a great height? Did you rocket jump and then land into a crouch?
Yeah. Then rocket fall to land faster.
Jala, what's Lindsay say?
Lindsay says, "See ya, Yoshie. Thanks."
So sad.
Oh wow.
Wait, is this Yoshi from Mario or is this somebody else?
It's Persona 4, right?
All right.
I
assumed Yoshi.
That's what I thought as well.
Well, it could be Yoshi, but it has an E at the end, which
probably
Yoshie is how I would read that if it were a Japanese name. So I don't know. It is a mystery. We will just go with Yoshi. See ya, Yoshi. Thanks.
Let's see. Corbin writes, Warthog jumping in Halo. Similar
I'm
thing.
sensing a theme.
Is that a...
I can vote.
Is Warthog jumping an actual maneuver? How is that different than what I
think it's like those things that the crazy kids do where they videotape themselves jumping over a warthog as a trap.
Warthog jumping while eating a Tide Pod.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ben, what does Jack say?
Jack says, Ornstein Smaug controller window.
Did you really throw your controller through a window in Ornstein and Smaug? I realize you're not.
And why was that the funniest part?
I'd be
funny in hindsight. Maybe we don't know what happened to that controller after it went through that window. It might have actually been really fucking hilarious, depending upon what happened after that.
Dennis, what does Roop say?
He says Cabrit Sans Core, which I'm looking up right now, is from Gabriel Knight, apparently.
Yeah. It's a go without horns, I think. And Roop might be referring to listening to Tim Curry just in his bad Cajun accent say Cabrit sounds cool. Just really leaning into it because he says it a lot because it's a game where he asks questions.
That's funny.
Jala, what does Sam say?
Sam says, glitchy Nintendo on weed.
This is theme number 2 of the question this week.
Yes. Theme number 2, and he is followed by several people with similar.
Yep, including Austin, who says, Magic Mushrooms Portal 2. Portal already makes me motion sick. I've never done mushrooms, however, I understand they make you quite nauseous. What Austin is describing sounds like a nightmare.
Hey, look!
If you do mushrooms before you do Portal 2, it just becomes walking through a series of doors very linearly.
It just turns into cart life. Ben, what does Justin say?
Justin says Doom 2 Co-op Nightmare 1995.
I don't know.
This feels like a very specific incident.
Yes, 1995. It's got a date on it.
It feels like it should be followed by another 4 words. You know what you did.
Yeah.
Dennis, what's Jeremy say?
Jeremy says no ladder, sim drown.
Oh,
it's my go-to in Roller Coaster Tycoon as well.
Yeah. It goes up, not down. Yeah. Let's see, Jala. What does Jonathan say?
Jonathan says, "Stop him! He's supposed to die." 4 words is hard.
I don't even know what Jonathan might be referring to, actually.
There's a lot of moments in video games that can be characterized that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike writes, GoldenEye multiplayer proximity mines. Then there's a bonus here on, there's 2 here. Max Payne on Weed. Oh, man. Yeah, proximity mine's always made for good stuff just because it is, kind of a fuck you a little bit. An unexpected fuck you. Ben, what does Franz say?
Franz says, invaded 30 minutes chameleon.
Oh God!
I don't know what this means.
That's great.
Referring to in Dark Souls, there's a spell you can use called Chameleon that I believe, if I'm correct, and I'm not mistaking it for another spell. It's been a little while.
Like turns you into a game object.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. So being invaded in Dark Souls means you cannot proceed in the level. Like it throws up fog gates. So just the idea of searching for this person and this person being perfectly content for a half of an hour of their life.
So I'm going to go get lunch. I'll see if I'm here when I get back. So multiple Dark Souls games have had this, because I remember doing this to someone in Dark Souls 3, and what eventually gave me away is I was like, I forget what the term is, but I was, human. I was embered or whatever, and so there was like slight flecks of ember coming off of me.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
So if you're looking closely, you can tell which of the objects in the game is
is a person?
is not real, because it's flaming, kind of.
Yeah.
But I was in the perfect place. It was in the snowy city. There's a room with just a ton of pots in it.
Oh yeah, no.
There's an NPC that you can discover in there that I think you have to hit as a statue.
Okay.
And you become one of those statues, and they're just scattered everywhere. So it was the perfect place to hide.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Eventually he found me, but I was proud of. I probably made it 5 minutes.
There's an NPC invasion in Dark Souls 3 where like a computer controlled person does that to you, like comes in, like spawns in behind you and then just like rolls out of the barrel and is like, haha.
That's great.
Yeah. Dennis, what does Chris say?
Chris says, about to win, bear trap.
Is this Resident Evil 4? Like half the fun of this is identifying the game.
Yeah.
I was actually going to guess Fortnite, but I have no idea if bear traps are even in Fortnite.
It just seems right.
There's not a lot of bear traps towards the end of Resident Evil 4 is the only thing I'm thinking of.
True. Could be a level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all need to go back and like reply to your reply with what game you were talking about in the full story in some of their cases.
Yeah. Let's see. Jala, what does James say?
James says, harass newbies in Blighttown. Didn't we skip Mark?
We did. I was just going to go in and fill it in behind. Which I'll do now. Mark says, Warthog, parked, passenger, cliffside. So it goes to get out. I'm like,
This is why I always set the parking brake, and I'm not joking. I always use the parking brake.
Oh yeah, in real life.
In real life,
okay.
and in games. Although I can't think of a game that has a parking brake, so I'm just going to assume I always use it.
Ben, what's Steven say?
Steven says, Fallout 3 launching a dead raider in the air after punching him to death. I think that's just under 4 words.
Just take out the spaces. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
There's
a lot of hyphens.
Something system. So yeah.
Yeah. I think Steven observed brevity, at least compared to our normal our normal runs. Dennis, what does Miro-san say?
He says the surprise Portal 2.
There are a couple of surprises that could be.
There's one chapter
I know,
called
I was
The
wondering
Surprise.
which
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Censor yourselves. I still intend to play that game at some point.
Oh my gosh.
It's very good. It's fun.
Shut up, Ben. You'll be able to watch me. You'll love it.
Ooh, yeah. I would watch you play that game. That game's great.
Stream it. We can all watch you.
Yeah.
Judge you.
And then Jala, what does Swan say?
One says, Outlast jump scare fart.
That is a good ending.
Yeah.
Great way to end.
Oh, that's so perfect.
Very good. Very good. Mine is Harry lost the floor. So referring to Silent Hill Shattered Memories, I was running up a staircase like in one of the climactic levels, and eventually the world fell out from around me, and I just kept on like falling, like in a tight, like loop or whatever, then landed in a big black void, and I was like, oh my god, like what are they doing? Is this like a House of Leaves thing? Like this is so conceptual. Like it's wandering around a gigantic void. Like what's gonna happen? I can see little bits of the. No, I just clipped through the floor, and I spent like 10 minutes running around, giving the game way more credit for this glitch, and I laughed at myself for being a pretentious douche even back in 2009.
At least it wasn't on stream. So.
Ben, how about you?
I think it'll be all night N64 marathons.
Oh yeah,
or N64 multiplayer, either one.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
The all night part specifically, like you get loopy from not being.
Yeah, just play a lot of GoldenEye and stay up late and eat chips and soda.
Yeah.
Oh man, Mario Party! You don't even care that you've rubbed all the skin off of the palm of your hand.
Oh my gosh! when somebody boos somebody else, like feelings are hurt.
Yeah, give yourself Italian stigmata. Yeah. Dennis, how about you?
Mine would be throwing NPCs downstairs.
Just in general?
Specifically in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, I think is the last one I played.
Whichever one.
Assassin's Creed, the mental Teflon.
Brotherhood is very good. Brotherhood is a very good game.
It's an excellent game, and the just the sheer number of animations for grappling and throwing someone are huge.
that even became like a running joke on the show, like way back then, didn't it?
What's that?
That became a running joke back on the show then, didn't it? Like just
I think so.
Murdering people by throwing them downstairs. I'm sorry to talk over you, but like I'm looking back like 7 years in the mist.
Yeah, no, I mean, I lost afternoons that way, and it's just you go in the right mood, you get punchy, and then it's just you can't stop.
It's a throw simulator.
It's a credit to the animation team. Like it was hilarious every single time.
Well, and also the voice actors. I remember them screaming. Oh, Jala, how about you?
Dodge roll. What cliff?
Which game is this?
I was Guild Wars 2. I was in an area that I was not supposed to be in because I was way too low level, and I was there anyway, and my friend was showing me around, and there were a bunch of stuff, and I lost patience for hanging out with him, he of the appropriate level who could protect me, and so I just kind of ran ahead. And I was dodge rolling out of the way because I had I don't know, maybe 5 Ettins after me, and I dodge rolled and then fell off a cliff to a place that he could not res me because he could not get down there safely. Whoops.
Are Ettins in Guild Wars the same as everywhere else, the two-headed giants?
Yes.
Okay.
And to be fair, when I dodge rolled off the cliff, I was on a laptop that could not run the game very well. So I, it's skipped and then I was off the cliff and I was like, oh, fuck. And that made it funnier because there wasn't really a way for me to break out of it or, change direction. It was just like, oops. That's what I get for playing beta weekend, whatever.
Guild Wars is notorious for every area in the game you can probably puzzle jump your way there. So it's even more impressive that you found the one spot that no one could get to.
Yeah, you could not get there. I don't think you can get there even now, the place that I fell. I did, of course, revisit this spot because I found it incredibly funny. My friend was trying to show me there was this floating castle off in the distance, and he wanted to show it to me, and that's why we were running towards the cliff in the first place.
Yeah.
So I go there and I try to take people there.
This is a very good question, and this conversation has actually taken me way back. That trip down memory lane made me think, remember, Ben, in the dorms, when I think it was you downloaded the demo for Lego Star Wars 2?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, that came out. That was the one with the initial trilogy. And if you played as Chewbacca, you could run around just yanking everybody's arms off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we did that for a half hour, just laughing our asses off.
That was the golden day of demos. When they introduced those, it's wow, you can play the game for free. This is amazing. Little did we know free to play was around the corner.
Wah, wah.
Yeah.
So an addendum for mine is Chewbacca, arms pop off.
Well, I made this one up myself, so I can make a good question sometimes.
Oh, you did great.
Many times.
You do great. So thank you, John.
I like the arbitrary convention piece. That seems to have brought people out of the woodwork. So maybe we'll do that again.
Cool. Well, thank you everybody for responding. If you would like to participate in these in the future, like us on Facebook, facebook.com/The Level Podcast. Those go up on Monday afternoons, thanks to Jala and Dennis.
The grind.
Now it is time for the grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. Who gets to go first? Wow. So this is, man, we've all been here for so long.
Constant crew. We don't have to be shifting out. So
Cole, when was the last time you went first?
Ooh.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I guess I always leave myself. So I haven't been doing much, just because I've been doing a bunch of playing for Watch Out for Fireballs. However, I do have something new. Ben, I kind of broke one of our tacit promises, and I played a little bit of Subnautica.
That's fine. That's totally fine. Yeah. I'm happy about that.
I didn't stream it, so I didn't want to stream over the weekend because I didn't want to compete with the charity event that was going on. So I just was like, oh, I have a Saturday night to play games. That's fun.
By myself, I can just enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't have to. I still talked, but nobody heard it. It's just for me. It was a one man show, by one man for one man. But no, so I fired up Subnautica just to play around with it. That is a very fun, very beautiful game.
It's like very elegant, right? Like minimum interface, pretty graphics, and like a straightforward objective, like get off the planet, like, get out of here.
Yeah. So I hadn't really I just like watched the Steam preview video and heard you, Ben, talk about it, and heard other people on other shows really kind of like keep a lot of praise on it. So, I believed all of you, but, man, I am really a sucker for that survival kind of loop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not so much in everything. And, sometimes it needs, you need to let that kind of recharge a little bit, because a lot of games that use it can end up feeling a little bit the same. Right. But when it hits, and I think in Subnautica, it hits very hard. It hits very hard.
Yeah. It's like Oceancraft kind of.
Yeah.
But so how far have you gotten?
So I might have to start over again.
Okay.
This is mild spoilers, but it's something that's announced is going to happen at the very beginning of the game. So your starting kind of base is like a little like survival craft, like an escape pod kind of thing. And the larger ship that you were in crash landed not very far from where you're at.
Yeah, and these are your only points of reference that you can see.
Yes. However, the ship is kind of like cut in half. It's massive too, and it's in terrible condition, and the drive is about to explode. I thought I was doing okay, and then the voice came over the radio saying, "Hey, this thing is going to go critical in 24 hours, so you need to go and take care of that."
Yeah.
I hadn't developed the laser cutter tool.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I have no way to synthesize this. If this thing blows up, I have no idea if it's going to. So it hasn't blown up yet.
Okay.
I have no idea if it's going to like just destroy and completely derail my entire playthrough.
Gotcha. You should be fine. So don't worry about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Good to know. Yeah. I mean, but like regardless, I've only done like 2 hours, so it's not that big of a deal. So that was kind of like the bummer. That and like navigating that ship is a little bit of a problem. Like the geometry and the hitboxes are real weird.
Yeah. And also certain parts are more dangerous than other parts. So.
Yeah. So like when you're swimming around and you're kind of going through the caves and like doing the things that the game was obviously really built to let you do, I think the game is fantastic. It controls very well. I can't imagine doing that in VR because it seems like it'd be like just a complete nightmare for motion sickness. But it's built for VR. If you have the constitution for that, then good on you. Thumbs up.
Also, nightmare fuel when you see a shark coming at you.
Some of those leviathans that kind of like that are just around. Those things are so big.
Yes. Yeah. What was the biggest monster you saw, I guess, or what bad guys have you seen?
I didn't get close enough to actually see, like, to get the name of the leviathans that I saw. They were just like shadows off in the distance almost.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That's funny. You were too scared to get close enough for the interface to pop up.
Literally, one was chasing me at one point. I did not turn around to look at it. I was just beelining for the starting capsule, so I didn't see what it looked like.
Yeah.
That's when you know a game is good.
Yeah. I did kill, cook, and eat a Gary fish.
A Gary fish.
How dare you?
Sorry, Mr. Butterfield. I don't even know what the Gary fish looks like.
It's like moderately sized.
Okay.
It's not gigantic, but like it's bigger than the fish that are mostly eyes.
The peepers.
The peepers.
There's like a mini roars, like a pilot. With it.
Yeah, it's just like a little buddy that goes around with them. Yeah, but no, it's really fun, and I'm super jazzed to play more because I didn't really get into the into the base building side of it at all.
Yeah, that comes a little bit. You have to build up stuff to be able to start to do it, and they do a pretty decent job of telling you like, hey, you might want to build this next. Hey, you might want to build this next. They don't tell you everything, so there could be maybe some like edges buffed out by better tutorials. But yeah, like, do you feel like you've been able to build everything that you've wanted to build, or? Yeah,
and it's cool how like as you scan more stuff or pick up more kind of specimens of things, that unlocks more recipes. I wish the interface for like selecting what you're going to build was a little bit better.
Yeah, instead of branching out the way that it does.
Right. Just because it's hard to kind of keep track of like, what's new and, all that. But like all in all, that's a minor concern. That's one that you just kind of get like acclimated to.
So I know when I was kind of at this point of the game, I would kind of go on like day trips where I would pick a direction, kind of like go see what was that way, see if I could find any new materials and come back. Have you found yourself doing anything like that at all? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I found a new area or a new tunnel with different stuff.
Okay. Cool.
New minerals and things. Jala desperately wants to talk to us about this.
I googled Gary Fish and I found out what one looks like, but then there's also a man called Gary Fish who is an entrepreneur, which totally works with Gary's pitch industries. So I'm like, whoa!
The headline here is Gary Fish's new venture is, quote, about helping others be successful.
Yeah.
You give a Gary a fish.
I have a question about the Subnautica Gary Fish.
Okay.
This is not like a No Man's Sky algorithmically generated. No. Like your Gary Fish looks different than everyone else's Gary Fish.
Correct.
If you find a Gary Fish in the game, you find it in real life.
Yeah. There is but one Gary Fish.
Yeah, and it's spelled with 2 R's, so I think it might be a reference to Gary's mod. Maybe I'm not sure.
Isn't there a fish called a gar?
I don't know.
2 R's.
I don't know.
I think they have the equivalent of that one mudfish, the one that like looks really like a weird collapsed face or whatever.
Oh, the blobfish.
Yeah.
There's a gara fish, which is what they use to do like the fish pedicures, which eat me out.
Whoa. Oh, that's where they eat all the little skin off your feet?
Yep.
Yeah. All the dead skin, rather. So
it's like the most ticklish barracuda.
Whoa.
A garfish. It's a gar is a garfish. It's the same thing. I linked the Wikipedia just for you.
Yeah. It seemed to sate my character's hunger quite a bit. But yeah, like once I figured out like how to quickly get the water that I needed or the food that I needed, like it just I got my feet under it. Like I feel like I have that satisfying loop of venturing further and further out from my home base. Right?
Has storage been an issue yet for getting supplies?
A little bit.
Okay.
I've just kind of like set up a line of floating lockers.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I did when I first started too.
Yeah. But this game's legit, and I'm curious to see kind of what new biomes there are. Like
it does a great job of giving you a lot with a little in terms of like what the storyline is and with exploration. One of my favorite things. This isn't really a spoiler because it happened in the first 2 hours or whatever. But like your little AI kind of companion that gives you feedback or whatever. The voice in your head. At one point, it was like, we've analyzed your exercise habits. You have exercised 5,000% more than your average. Your favorite activity is swimming. Yeah, that's pretty. It has some very Portal-esque moments at times.
Yeah, it was very funny because like they didn't hit you with that immediately. It just kind of came up and like, yeah, that's what AI assistants do.
Yeah. They just do a good job of world building with it through the kind of like subtle details or like fun facts about things.
Yeah, like especially after I kind of like cooked some of my first fish, cooking it kind of like it makes them more nutritious or whatever. But like it popped up a little voice alert saying, "You may find it disgusting to eat cooked flesh, but remember, humans survived like this for thousands of years." And I was like,
"Oh God,
yeah, okay, yeah, like
yeah, like they've evolved beyond that, yeah,
or they synthesize enough stuff without it seem barbaric or whatever, yeah."
Mm-hmm. Oh, I thought they were specifically saying like there's a cannibalism option.
No. You're
not like Fallout. Yeah.
You're the only human for miles around. The only human that is not currently in the belly of another fish.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking like a Jonah kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not a happy situation.
Yeah, but Subnautica, like it's fucking great. And I would definitely recommend people like grab it.
I'm really excited to see you stream it, and
I definitely I might start over and do something else, like fit that in edgewise somewhere. So.
I would say if you want to just for the sake of streaming, that's fine. I don't think the game really ever gives you a reason that you have to start over. I think you're never at a point or it's too far gone or anything.
So like if the ship blows up, like does it just?
That's not a failure.
Okay.
There's no like time-based failures in the game or anything like that.
Okay, cool.
So,
Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. Yeah. So that's the main thing I've been playing. Any questions from the assembled panel here about that?
From the peanut gallery. No.
I just want to watch you play it eventually. Yeah. So yeah. It's sweet.
Yeah. The only other thing I've been doing is more Pokemon Picross. But
we don't need to discuss that again.
No, it continues apace. Lots of puzzles on that. I feel like I've definitely, even having put the $30 in to take all the free to play stuff off of it, I feel like I've definitely gotten more than my money's value out of it. Yeah, it's great.
How many puzzles generally go into a game like that?
About like 300 or so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
fair number.
This is going to be a demand post show is to see what a Pokemon Picross is because I've seen pictures of it, but yeah,
I can go grab one and like solve one for you,
nice.
So you can. No, they're fun. Like you can get them on your phone and stuff.
Yeah,
not the Pokemon ones, but there's like good little logic puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
Ben, since you're in the room, what have you been playing?
So I also went back on something that we said, and I played and beat A Way Out with my brother over the weekend.
Oh, cool.
Snap.
You guys were together.
Yeah, we were physically together. He had the day off. We were watching the baby, and so we thought it would be a good like brotherly activity to like hang out and play A Way Out.
Nice. So this is the new team by the Brothers team, the new game by the Brothers team, right?
Yeah, and that was maybe part of the rationale. It's like, hey, they made a Brothers game before. This has to be like a good game. I liked it. The game only costs $30, and I think that was a very good move. I do not think it would have been. I think I would have felt a little cheated if it was a $60 game,
just
or like
because of the brevity. Or?
The game, the graphics on it are like somewhat unpolished, and like the voice acting is not great. And so this sounds like I'm going to say I'm not like it, but I thoroughly enjoyed the game. There's like a lot of unique mechanics to it. It felt very similar to like what Heavy Rain did for games when it first came out, where it puts you in a lot of like unique situations, and the game mechanics are like novel for the scene that you're in. I did really enjoy the game. I was very happy that I played it. No regrets. Definitely worth $30 in money, but just be aware that it's not going to be like a AAA polished sorts of game. So if that might turn you off, then that might be a bad point. Yeah, overall, the story, it works. It's good. There's some weird kind of tropes in it that might be a little bit... It's not going to win like award-winning writing or anything, but I mean, it works at least.
So the basic premise is it's you and somebody else trying to break their way out of prison, right?
Yeah. It's two characters. They try and differentiate him by one being kind of like a brawny, fight everybody he sees as his first option, and the other person being kind of like a calm, calculated, like...
One's red and in overalls, the other is green and in overalls.
Pretty much. So they try and differentiate the characters like that. One kind of problem in general with this game is all the characters kind of look alike, so it's kind of like hard to they're not visually differentiated that much.
Well, they're all probably like prison uniforms too. Right?
Yeah, exactly. They all wear the same thing. It was really like the two main characters and the main antagonist of the game like all kind of look similar. So that was kind of like one negative thing is the art styles weren't really differentiated enough. The two main characters are kind of differentiated once you look at them enough, but I mean, I did really enjoy the aspect of it being similar to like Heavy Rain, where like you're doing unique missions with every level of the game. So like as an example, and this happens early in the game, so there's not too much spoiler. There's one part where you're trying to break out of the prison, as what the premise of the game is. And so there's like a mini game where one person looks out of his cell and is like looking down the hallways for guards, and the other person's like frantically sawing away at like the screws on his toilet so he can move it out of the way. And so it's just like a novel game, and then you like pass the shiv back to one another, and then you trade roles, and the other person's looking around, the other person's sawing.
And you're playing on different screens. So
yeah, so we played split screen the entire time. I think you can play it online. One of the things that's really cool about the game too is only one person needs to buy the game. And the other person can just play it for free. Like they don't have to pay for it, which is kind of how they sold the game. Like sold the game in like an ad for it. And that's like a really awesome thing that they did too. So I have a lot of like goodwill towards the people who made this game. Like I think it's a very creative game. I don't want to sound like I'm trashing it at all or anything.
Right. But it just kind of like falls down on like on a polished level, especially like probably because they're trying to do something a little bit more realistic.
Yeah. And this is like a big step up from Brothers too, where it's like, it's not stylized, and there's a lot more ambition with like the scenes that they're shooting, and
it's a different weight category.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Any criticism of the game? One thing I was surprised by is you get out of jail somewhat quickly. I thought the majority of the game would be like planning a jailbreak sort of thing,
like the process of step by step figuring out your plan and executing on it.
Yeah, but you get out of the jail like maybe a fourth way through the game. They do a lot of interesting things. They throw in a lot of things that you can do just for fun, like fun side quests and stuff. Some of them are kind of weird and inappropriate. Some of them are fine. Like, for example, there's one part where you're on a farm and you can play horseshoes and you can kind of challenge one another. Like, that's kind of cool or whatever, that they have these tiny mini games. However, sometimes they like totally miss the landing, where it's like, there's one level where you're going to a hospital to see your firstborn child for the first time. But you can stop and play Connect 4 with the person that you're playing with. And it's like, I guess you can put that there, and I guess it's like a fun aside, but it totally breaks the narrative.
They do that on the way to the hospital, not in the waiting room?
It's in the waiting room. Okay, it's on your way up. And then another thing also on the way is you can do like a game where you're doing a wheelie in one of the wheelchairs and see who can like stay balanced like the longest or whatever. Yeah. So it's like some things that are like, I mean, I appreciate that they have like a fun mini game that they're putting in, but it definitely seems a little bit tone deaf with the narrative.
Yeah. Does it feel like maybe there was at one point a boardroom where they were putting a bunch of ideas up and they didn't cross out as many of them as they should have?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe they just needed padding, and maybe they're like, hey, this feels too long to get from this point to this point. Let's just throw some mini games in there or something. But overall, they do a really good job of like making it fresh. Like all the missions. It feels like they don't repeat many of the missions at all. It seems like they'll do something new with each of the levels that you're on, so that even if it's like a shootout or something like that, they find a way to make it more interesting than previous ones. So overall, I was definitely impressed by it. I don't think it's going to be like a game of the year. I kind of had high expectations for it, and it didn't like blow me away like maybe like an Uncharted game like might. But there were still a lot of cool moments in it. And again, since they released it at $30 and only one person needs to buy it, I think it's a great value for that price point.
Right. If you find somebody who're like, hey, this is, like you and me, we're going to go through the 6 hours together.
Yeah. And I would say, that's about what the game length is maybe like 6 to 8 hours, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Like the stuff that you do in it, like, is it all stuff that, requires and only makes sense if there's another person that you're talking with and working with through it? Or
that's a good question. I haven't really thought through what it would be like if you're playing online with someone else. I don't know how you would coordinate some of the things without doing like voice chat.
You'd have to have voice chat for sure.
Yeah.
Especially like if you were warning somebody like, oh, a guard's coming, screws,
Yeah.
5-0.
I mean, so I know when we played on split screen, it was nice. They did a really good job of transitioning between like a cutscene to split screen. They just have like a slider come over, and it's like one person's screen's on the left, one person's screen's on the right, and that was really helpful too, because in scenes like where someone's holding up a guard or something, you can just easily look over and see where they're at. I haven't actually thought through what it would be like to play online if you can't actually talk to the person. So
that seems like the majority of the way people would play it.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a huge griefing community that rises up around this.
Why would you play this game with somebody you don't know?
I think if you have like a Discord channel with a friend or something, that'll cover you and you should be fine. And then they also do a few like interesting things with game design where they'll put you in situations where it's kind of like decision moments where it's like there's two options of what you can do, and each option appeals to one of the characters. Like one might be, hey, let's beat this guy up, and the other one might be, hey, let's talk him down, or something like that. And so you kind of have to decide as a group, like both people have to decide the option. So there's like a little bit of you have to negotiate, like, hey, I think this will be the better option, or hey, I think this will be good. So that was pretty interesting to see those moments. And they do a couple things like that where they do kind of like, I guess, like challenging things with the gameplay, or things that like kind of challenge you cooperating with one another. So those were interesting, and I like those. I'm trying to be very vague about them to try and avoid what they actually are. But
does it do it? Well, you won't answer the question. My prediction, and honestly knowing nothing about the game, is it does an Army of Two style final choices. You have to kill your partner or give up some huge other thing.
There are moments where you do not cooperate with one another scattered throughout the game. I'll say that much. So.
I mean, the thing that sticks out most to me about Brothers is that very last act. Like, that has such a huge emotional impact for me. Is there anything...
Any gut punches or anything?
Yeah,
like
are there
that?
any gut punches? Like, it's hard to figure out how to answer how to phrase this question, because, like, is there anything that hits that hard? Probably not.
Maybe there's like ear flicking instead of gut punches or something like that.
Did they try? Did they swing for that height, or is it more like a muted?
So I think part of it is a lot of the characters. I do think Heavy Rain's a good comparison, because like a lot of the characters are kind of like two-dimensional ish, and like you don't really take them too seriously. So like another thing is, I will say the voice acting is not great, and that's again another comparison to like Heavy Rain.
Nom and Jaden.
Yeah, but like some of their background like might be a very like stereotypical sort of thing. Like one of them like will live in a trailer, but you play basketball with. I don't know. It's like some of it's like a lot of like, it leans very heavily on like stereotypes, I guess, and so. It's kind of hard to, I don't take it seriously.
It's cringeworthy.
Yeah, and so I don't know if I was attached to the characters in this game as I was in Brothers. Right. So yeah,
we're saying quite a bit because nobody in Brothers talked.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I love Gordon Freeman as well. Yeah,
nice.
But yeah, overall, definitely recommend if you have it's a great couch co-op game. So if there's some like a good 2-player game that you want to play, this would be great for it. Yeah.
It sounds like you played it in kind of the ideal circumstance.
Yeah, with the brother.
Yeah. Nice.
And that's pretty much all I got. So
cool.
I've been traveling otherwise. So.
Nice.
Yep.
Jala, I want to hear what you've been playing.
Sure. So I derped around a little bit more in Breath of the Wild. I wandered over to where the first photo from Zelda is, but initially nothing happened because I went to the wrong gate the first time.
Oh no.
And so I had to wander around until I found the other one. But anyway, let me say that I started from Hateno Village and then came across a Herox mini boss and I killed it. And then I came across a big centaur guy who ate my lunch. And I was like, okay, deuce. And then I ran into the snowfield and killed some stuff before warping out to Kata, whatever the village is, the first one you go to.
Yeah, Kakariko, yeah. Those Lionels,
yeah, okay, sure.
Those Lionels, no matter how much you gear up, they're always just a complete bastard to fight.
Okay, because I was like, I know I'm not super far into the game, but I was like, can't I do anything?
Yeah.
I can do a little bit. I can't do a whole hell of a lot because he takes out most of my life bar with one swing. Oh, and then he sees me from real far away, even if I'm sneaking, and then starts shooting like frost arrows at me. Like, dude,
yeah,
not fun. But anyway,
you can't be deadly at every range.
Yeah, that's not nice. So anyway, monsters not nice. Note.
I've also found that like with the big guys, like even if you kill them, it's not worth the amount of resources you go through to kill them.
And that's kind of why I was like, I'm not even going to bother, because I maybe could have, like spent a lot of time trying to, dodge around him and do whatever. I was like, I'm not that emotionally invested in this fight. So,
yeah.
But I did, while I was wandering between the two areas that were in the photo, found the temple that is reflected in the water by the waterfall.
Okay.
And so yeah, and then I said, I saw my first captured memories cutscene with all the heroes and stuff. And
oh yeah,
I don't have a whole hell of a lot to say about that, but I did play a little teeny tiny bit more of it.
Yeah.
So
those cutscenes, even if you're not like crazy into seeking them out kind of naturally, like for me, like looking at them and trying to figure out where the photos were taken from is kind of fun. Even if that isn't fun for you, like look up a map and go kind of see some of those. Not because the story is great necessarily, like you can gather a bunch of it without doing those, but Zelda's characterization in this game is pretty cool.
So far, like at least from the one cutscene, I don't have any feelings about anybody.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like okay, well, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm dead inside. I am.
Oh, come on.
Stop putting the inner world too.
I know that was the thing, and I was going to talk about that. I hadn't got that far yet. But anyway.
Spoilers, Dennis.
Yeah, spoilers. Damn it. So.
Yeah.
So anyway, you were going to say something else about that?
No, it just it's unexpected. Not like in a huge way, but she's given a little bit more depth than you would expect. Given her previous characterizations.
It's also a rare point in the game where there's narrative.
Yeah, where they actually have like direct representational story conveyed to you.
Yeah.
And you're necessarily always going to find them out of order, so piecing it together is cool too.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, I also played because I had the big event this last weekend. I was kind of busy with stuff, and so I played 2 more games, but they were both like mobile. So the first one was Cube Escape: The Cave. It's iOS game by Rusty Lake. Somebody recommended this to me.
Okay.
And I don't
you say that like they've done you a violence.
It's probably cool then, yeah.
Like I have my eyebrows squinched together, and I'm not sure who recommended it.
Okay.
I don't remember who recommended this game to me. However, it was a game. So it's a room escape, basically. It's apparently the 9th game in the Cube Escape series, and I'd never even heard of that before. So I don't know. It's real weird. I don't know how to describe it, but you can also play it in a browser from cubeescape.com. So like you can go pull it up and look at it. But the puzzles and the sort of nonsense story are just like they seem real drug induced. Let's just put it that way. Real bizarre. So because of the type of game this is, I don't really know that I can talk much about it, but if you have time and you want to play a room escape, this is a unique entry to that genre.
We see one puzzle that looks like it is just straight up Jack from The Witness.
They were probably developed concurrently, but
yeah, so I don't know. So anyway, like it's a strange room escape, and you know, people who listen to the show long enough have figured out that I do play room escapes with some degree of frequency, or I went through a phase where it was like, and then I played this room escape game. So, you know, that was the thing. All right, I don't really have a lot to say about that, but that is a game. It is free. Cube Escape. Go find it.
It looks really cool. The puzzles look really interesting.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's a pretty unique and interesting little entry. Real weird. So if you like a room escape or a puzzle game, this would be an interesting one to dabble in, and it costs you nothing. So you know, just take a second. If you don't like it, take it off your phone. The end. So, the last thing that I played, as Dennis already spoiled, was Inner World 2.
Sorry.
Yeah, so this was all prompted because Dennis was like, I need to finish the Inner World. And then I was like, is the Inner World 2 out? And then I found out that it was, and so I downloaded it, and then I had to finish it. So for people who were not around back then, when I first played the first game, I really enjoyed it. This is an adventure game that has very cute and quirky animation and charming little voice acting, and you know, like the writing is just real adorable, and it's I don't even know how to describe it. It's real quirky. This game continues the adventures of Robert, and it takes place 3 years after the first game, and the tone of all the people in Asposia, which is the world, is very different. So in order to talk about it, I kind of have to talk about the first game a little bit. So
I see a bug holding a Nazi rally.
It looks like the First Order from Star Wars, which also looks like Nazis.
So I'll explain. So the world only has air to breathe because the 3 wind monks like supervise the wind fountains, and the flute nose people.
They break wind. You can say
it. Play music that summons the wind. So there are these creatures called the Basilians that were basically these things that look like dragons that flew through the air and turned people to stone. And basically, the wind monk Conroy, who raised Robert, the main character, was actually manufacturing the Basilians, who are robots, in order to control the people with fear. So he was a dictator. And Robert and his friends put a stop to those plans in the first game and ended up turning him to stone. So that's the end of the first game. And then in this game, it's 3 years later, and instead of hating him the way that they used to, all the Esposians now adore Conroy and think that he's a savior, saying that the flute noses summoned the Basilians and made them attack people. And, you know, they are ignorant of the fact that if it weren't for the flute nose people, everybody would be dead. Anyway, as such, Robert and his family are being hunted down. And like there are banners everywhere with an upside down pretzel, and they even call it a pretzel at one point. Like some of the really dumb guards say, "Yo, he must be a good guy. He's got the pretzel on his banner. I like pretzels. Pretzels are good."
That's like their. I mean, to continue the analogy, that's their swastika.
Yeah. So, anyway, Robert begins the game as a statue, and from what you can see, it looks like one of the Basilian robots was rampaging and managed to catch him while he was running. And you start the game by controlling Peck, which is a pigeon, which is like the bird companion of the female lead character. And you have to depetrify Robert and go from there. And Robert finds out that there is a prophecy that peace will be restored again, this time by the last wind monk. And you met two of the wind monks in the prior game, and neither one of them was worth a damn. Like the first one was trying to control everybody, and the other one retired and spends his time gambling in a bar. So your mission is to find the other one that you've never met. And of course, he's on the other side of the world, so you have to find a way over. Yeah. And basically, throughout the game, it plays the same as it did in the first game, where it's a typical adventure stuff.
With your specifically like a LucasArts point and click style inventory based
thing. Yeah. Except in this game, they make like in the first game, you don't have the ability to toggle between characters to solve puzzles until later on. But in this game, you start out having two characters, and then at one point you have three characters that you can toggle between, and they all share the same inventory, but they can access different things, or they will respond differently to different objects. Okay. So like you have to use certain characters in certain parts. And it makes sense. It's intuitive. It's not like just a random guess.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, Robert, as a flute nose himself, has the ability to play music and learn different songs, which do activate different properties. So like you can use a song to summon wind. You can have a song that will raise stuff up or lower it down and things like that. So you use those aspects to solve all the different puzzles throughout the game and, basically show everybody the truth.
Right. So like it's a little bit like Loom or like Ocarina of Time, like using music to affect the world.
Yeah. So like you end up doing that kind of a thing. And it's real fun. It's consistent with the first game insofar as the tone and the humor being on point and being charming. I want to say because the first game is the first game, it's a little bit more charming. Like once you've already seen the trick enough, it's kind of like, yes, the writing continues to be as good as, but the initial impression, you're accustomed to it by that point. So, I like the fact though that even though that's the case, like it's still charming enough that you still enjoy the writing as you go through the game. There are characters that come back from the first game that you maybe didn't think were going to show up again. And, they give you a lot of different ways to approach solving the puzzles in here more, above what they did in the first game. So it's building on in pretty much every single way you can build on it. And I like that, because a lot of times when you have like a sequel to something, it's either exactly the same thing that you just finished, or it's not as good, or it reads like a middle entry in a series or something, and
right.
you really have that problem with this game. So I had a lot of fun with it from start to finish, and I definitely recommend it. And I still recommend, Dennis, that you finish the first one.
Even though you spoiled the ending for me?
Especially.
As if you didn't know what was going to come at the end of the game.
This is why I say no spoilers.
What's the style of humor? Is it jokey, or is it quirky? Like, is it acerbic? Because like I'm watching a video of it. I've never played this game.
Yeah. Well, like I shared a link to. I put a bunch of different screenshots on my Instagram. I will share some of that over so you can see. But I also joke that Laura, the female character, is kind of like, I guess my avatar for this game, because like there's a point where she's talking to a character and she is being real blunt, and then Robert's trying to calm down the character and saying, don't think too badly of her, she's dead inside.
Yeah.
So
okay, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, and she's the one who has the bird as well, so that makes me laugh. But
so it still manages to be pretty humorous, though. Like, I guess the Nazis aren't. They do a very lighthearted version of Nazis, I guess, or.
Yeah, like in the link I just sent, there are 10 different screenshots. You just have to go to the thing and then look through, and then this one also has like a bunch of different screenshots, so you can scroll through there and see the kind of humor physically that is being referred to. But like it's quirky and funny, but it's definitely got its own I don't know, own sensibility. There's a lot of, I guess, dark humor or something. Like there is a philosopher that is tied to a windmill that you come across at one point, and then Robert's talking to him, and he's perfectly content to be tied to this windmill. So like you're talking to him, and then Robert's like, well, what do you eat? And then he's like, I eat the flies that get caught between my teeth. They're tasted bitter, but so is life.
Oh, gross.
But like there's a lot of other parts that are not so dark, but this particular guy made me laugh really hard, because like he's got this whole thing. He's like, I graduated at the top of my class after I explained to my professors that studying was actually a completely pointless act, so since we're all going to die anyway alone.
Oh jeez. Straight up nihilism.
Yeah. And so you just come across this, and then Robert is just like such an innocent. He's basically a shut-in who doesn't know anything about the world, and so when he comes across any character, he's just kind of like, okay, I don't know what to do about it. Yeah. And he's just very good-natured and very positive. Yeah. And so like his interactions with the world make it a lot more innocent than how it might otherwise seem. And then even with the kind of Nazi vibe going on for the people in charge, the only person who's like that is the leader, and all the other characters are kind of like either ambivalent, or they don't actually care at all, right, or they don't even know what it means, or stuff like that. So they're all just like regular people. Yeah. So
well, I love the art style, like the animation, and specifically like the animated acting is all very good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like the silly look of the game allows it to get away with so much more of that dark humor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it definitely does, because like it's it's got some dark humor, it's got just some funny parts. Like in the first game, there was like Robert's first encounter with a bar and his first time ever coming across alcohol, and that was really funny. That was really, really funny, because basically I don't remember exactly what he said, but he said something along the lines of like, why would I want to drink something that tastes this foul and makes me want to die? And stuff like that. And it's really funny the way that he interacts, especially in the first game, because he is 100% sheltered there.
Yeah.
And by the time of this game, he's kind of a little bit more world wise, so he's understanding a little bit more.
Yeah.
But it's a really funny game and quite enjoyable.
The Inner World too. You're playing this on your phone?
Yes, that was on my phone. I do believe that it is also on a console, I think.
No.
But I don't remember. I think so.
We've had a Let's Play up here, and I see a cursor moving around like it's on a PC.
Mm.
Yeah. Neat. I know the answer to this because you shared it in Slack. Do you have anything else?
No.
Cool. Dennis, round us out.
Yeah, that makes me the rounder, I guess. So I'll talk about the games I've been playing, but I guess I should also talk about the service that I've been playing them on, because I decided to finally take the dive and do the free trial of PlayStation Now, which is their games streaming service. Yeah. I've known, I think anyone can get a free week of it. And I'd had in the back of my mind a couple games that I wanted to play that were on PS3, but not on the PlayStation 4 store yet, but in the Now library. And so it was just kind of that weird, console limbo that made them hard to get to.
Yeah.
That Now would kind of solve for.
The kind of thing, the thing with Now is the game runs on a server elsewhere, and then it streams you the video of the play, and then your controls are passed back and forth. So what you are looking at is a stream of the video.
Exactly. Yeah. The library is pretty good. There's a large number of games on there, and just enough of them that were in my backlog, or games that I saw and was oh yeah, I remember hearing about that. They don't have standout day one hits on there, but they do have a lot of bigger names, right. Especially within PlayStation exclusive titles. It seems like they've made a big effort to have those first party games on the PlayStation Now service, which makes sense.
It's probably easier to get those licenses too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I've been pleased with it from that angle. The game specifically that I wanted to play and that got me to take the plunge was the original Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch.
Oh, shit. So you were playing this because the sequel came out, right?
Exactly. Sequel came out. I was reading reviews of the sequel, and I was like, man, I remember reading reviews for the first one that just raved about it. And it just seemed like something that I would really enjoy. So now's the time. And so I used PlayStation Now to access that. And again, it's a PlayStation 3 title. I don't have my PlayStation 3 hooked up anywhere, and my PlayStation 3 doesn't the disk drive doesn't work, so I couldn't get it from a bargain bin.
Yeah, so you couldn't grab a cheap copy on Amazon. Yeah,
exactly. And it's not out on the PlayStation 4 store yet, right? Which is kind of surprising given the sequel.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Jala?
Well, first off, Inner World is on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Okay. But also about this game, it is also, the devs are Level 5 and Studio Ghibli, so that's really cool.
Yeah. And I have been ridiculously pleased with this game.
Nice.
I hardcore regret that I took so long to actually get around to it. It was published by Bandai Namco as well, so another check mark in the box of the people who made it. And it is a role-playing game with an ethos similar to Pokemon, in that you are in a very whimsical, magical world filled with familiars, little critters that all have kind of elemental affinities, and they evolve and they fight each other. And you find out that you are a wizard in this world, and training familiars is one of your many skills that you're using to try to save the world. So this game is whimsical incarnate. Everything about it has that cutesy design sense.
I mean, it would have to be with Studio Ghibli, right?
Yeah, I was going to say exactly. Studio Ghibli.
And man, I realized that we did the question about the ideal video game manual a week too soon. This game, it's a digital manual, but it's built into the menu system, and they actually refer you to it in the game. It's a 415-page game manual.
Good God.
Yes, which covers everything from detailed like control descriptions and combat, tips and hints, to a profile for every single familiar in the game, to there is a book of fairy tales based in the world's lore. Wow. That is like contained within the manual, and part of the game is actually like unlocking new fairy tales.
Yeah.
The most amazing thing, like I said, is that they refer you back. It's your wizarding companion or something. It's called, they name it. It's a book that you find. And for like certain quests, it's like, oh, we need the password for this. Oh, well, we'll check your manual. I think it's in there. And you literally go in, look up the password, then type in what the actual password is to continue.
It's like a copy protection feature. It's like flower, sun, and rain.
Even better. And so I'm playing this with my kids. So this became the next game to play with my kids because it's exactly that kind of tone.
Oh, so that's why you were late.
Yeah, exactly. So we were playing this, so I lost track of time. But literally one of the quest lines is like a person that quizzes you on these fairy tales. And so like in the middle of playing this game, I'm sitting down and reading this crazy fairy tale about a prince who doesn't want to be king, so he goes and gets himself eaten by a lion and tells the lion, no, just keep me in here so I don't have to be king. But then the lion winds up becoming king. And it's just this whole nothing to do with the mechanics of the game. Yeah. Just a really fun, whimsical story. And then a character quizzes you about the story to complete the quest. And so it's just this weird thing where I'm like literally reading him a fairy tale and we're talking about the story within the game. It just so much freaking fun.
Yeah.
The convention that kind of starts you in the game is you're actually a boy from the real world, from Motorville, USA. Maybe it's Motortown, USA. But at the very beginning of the game, it's kind of hinted at that there might be dark forces from somewhere that have it out for you and wind up killing your mom. Or causing your mom to die. So a very dark beginning to the game.
Right.
Maybe not the best parent-son part of the narrative.
So I have not. The game is so good that I haven't been able to restrict myself to just playing with the kids. So I've been playing it on my own. That part I got to on my own.
Good.
But Oliver, the main character, is crying into this doll that's been in his room, and then you later find out that his mom gave him, and the doll springs to life. Explains that he is Mr. Drippy, Lord High Lord of the Fairies.
Is this the guy with the lantern on his nose?
The guy with the lantern on his nose, yeah. The kind of iconic character from this, who I might add is superbly voice acted. What's funny is, so in the Japanese version, I had to look up the actual... so in the Japanese version, he's played with a very strong Osaka accent, which I...
Like Australian kind of thing?
Yeah. So in the English version, they had him be very strongly Welsh.
Okay.
And it just gives his whole shtick. He's very much the comic relief character. Gives his whole shtick kind of a Monty Python kind of vibe to it. And they actually have some parts that are just very overtly, like comedic bits. And just the snappiness with which he responds and the silliness of the character and the accent and all this stuff just plays together. It's a delight anytime that Mr. Drippy is on the screen. So that is a great character in and of itself, and I would spring for a Mr. Drippy plushie in a heartbeat.
I am positive one exists.
Oh yeah. Well, here's the sad thing is, Red is this fairy tale. It's great, but Red as the way a child is actually processing the death of his mother and like escaping from that, it is like just heartrending.
I'm sure, yeah.
And the game like. It hasn't committed either way. I'd be very surprised if it full on commits that this is all in his imagination.
Right.
But it definitely gives you some material that like kind of intimates that, this is kind of Oliver. This is how he's dealing with it.
Right.
Which just like, I can't even say it without like tears coming out. Like, it really, I don't think they were going to like, we're going to gut punch him with it, but it's surprisingly poignant.
Yeah.
And I think that underscores the silliness and all just the lightheartedness in an interesting way.
Right.
So that's kind of the story, and you get in. What you find out though is that everyone in the real world has a soulmate, quote unquote, in the fairy world.
Right.
And if theoretically, if you could find your mom's soulmate in the fairy world, there might be a way to bring her back in the real world. That's not clear. And again, I'm kind of not sure yet if this game is going to try to break my heart 3 times over.
Oh, it's a Studio Ghibli thing. They're going to. Like they're going to make you like them for doing it, but
yeah. I've never heard of these guys before, so I'm going to have to look into what else they do.
Oh my god, they
Studio
make
Ghibli?
like all these films that you need to be watching with your children.
Yeah.
I mean, not all of them, but some of them you need to watch with your children.
The Studio Ghibli especially is very good for
Yes.
strong female protagonists.
Is this like
Yes.
Kiki's
In children's
delivery
media.
service? Or what?
Yes, Kiki's Delivery Service, Totoro, Spirited Away.
Oh gosh,
Gosh,
what's
Princess
the
Mononoke.
Yeah, Howl's Moving Castle, Princess Mononoke.
what's the Forbidden Forest, Lost Forest one?
Yeah,
I don't
so
know.
there's like very many. And by the way, I linked you a plushie.
Oh, excellent.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, I could totally see getting into their storytelling. There's so much creativity in the world. Like each city is like themed after an animal, and like the king or the queen of the city is that animal or has the qualities of that animal. So the first city, it's just out and out a cat, and everyone calls him your Majesty, and you know, it's got that going for it. There's one, the city I'm in right now is like this industrial complex, and they're like, you know, make way for the royal parade, and literally all the buildings get up and run on tracks to get out of the way to form like a huge parade avenue. Like there's just certain parts of those things, like set pieces are full on animated, not even in-game engine, but like animated like you would see for a Kiki's Delivery Service or something like that.
Right.
And that's all really high quality. So just the level of creativity and whimsy, I'm going to keep on using that word. I'm just going to bury that word.
Yeah,
is
applies.
incredible in the game.
People who are aware of the studio will forgive you for
Oh, sure.
using a very apt word.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to open up a thesaurus page for whimsy. So gameplay wise, it's also pretty solid. So you know you can run around as yourself in the battle arena, and it's the Final Fantasy style. At least I equate it to 13,
Right.
where you know you can see them running around the world, and if they see you, they'll run at you, or you can charge them, touch them, it starts a battle in a kind of a custom screen representing the area. You directly control one character, and you can either be the wizard or one of their familiars at any given time. The familiars have a stamina bar, and you can only be them for a certain amount of time before you have to switch. And then there are eventually, there's a very long ramp up, but there are eventually 3 wizards or wizard-like people that you can play as at once. Mm-hmm. So the entire game is kind of knowing what attacks are going on or what elemental weaknesses your enemies might have, switching to the right person and the right familiar to take advantage of that to win, which is a very satisfying loop. And the difficulty balance feels about right to me. So I've never had a boss fight that I have won on the first try, but I've never had to grind to beat a boss fight. Okay. If that makes sense.
So like it doesn't require just a shitload of elbow grease. It requires you to like reevaluate the way you approach it.
Exactly. Yes. And they've all felt, you know, they've all been long fights, and they felt like I won by the skin of my teeth. The problem is that your AI buddies, you know, whichever 2 wizards you're not controlling, are kind of stupid and are really good at immediately using up all their mana and getting themselves killed. And that's super annoying because it really is this, like, at some point in the boss fight, you're just going to be alone by yourself fighting to finish it. And generally, after you've tried it once or twice, you have the boss's patterns down well enough that you can kind of last against them. So eventually you can wear them down and beat them. Mm-hmm. But it's just so slow when you've only got one character alive that it becomes a bit of a grind.
Right.
And the effort required to keep your teammates alive, it just, you know, you play all your time, you spend all your time topping them off health-wise versus doing any damage, and you're going to wind up in that spot anyway. Mm-hmm. So that's the one piece that feels off to me, is just how dumb the AI is.
Right.
Thankfully, they have 15 hours in introduced a command to at least get them to block when they're supposed to block. So when you've only got 2 people in your party,
you're describing something awful, Dennis.
I know.
I do kind of want to interject. I did bounce off of this game because I got in a boss fight that I could not win, and I could not exit. So
oh wow,
yeah.
Couldn't exit.
I only had once. It was a clock, I believe, in the Meow Kingdom, maybe.
Oh, interesting. I'm trying to remember which one that is.
But I only had one save file, and so that was within the boss battle.
Yeah, so you box yourself in.
That was kind of on me. So.
Yeah, you have to be careful with save hygiene, and this is the one place I've ever had a problem with PlayStation Now.
Okay.
Is I left the game, as I'm wont to do. I'll just kind of pause it and wander away if I've got something that interrupts me.
Well, you're playing with your kids, so they're not going to stay planted forever.
Right, or I something needed to be cleaned up at this point or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
On the PS4, I just leave the screen there. I put it in rest mode, and it's fine.
Yeah.
On PlayStation Now, if you sit for long enough, it will disconnect you with the excuse of we need to make room on the server for other people that were playing.
Which makes sense. What do they do with the state of your game at that point?
You go back to whatever place you last saved. Whoa. Unfortunately, just kick you out, and you can definitely screw yourself with saves. So Ben, you're describing one side of it where you kind of saved in the wrong place. In general, what I've found is it's a little bit easy to forget to save after a big boss fight, or to forget to save after a big run through the world.
Okay.
And you die, and then you're faced with this choice. You can continue, which will start you pretty close to wherever you were, at full health, full mana, but you've used all the items that you used getting there, and you have to pay a penalty in gold. Or you can go reload your save, at which point you get all your items back and have the gold, but you are at the last point you saved.
Yeah.
And that, more often than not, it's been better for me to go back to the previous save.
Yeah.
Than it has to pay the penalty to continue.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was a conscious design choice by them or not, that it would be kind of a choice that would swing one way or another based on where you were in the game. But the save hygiene you kind of have to be conscious of, and you can't walk away from PlayStation Now for too long.
No, that's a bummer.
So how long is it before it disconnects you?
Gosh, it was probably a solid 10 minutes or something. So it's not a short amount of time, but it's very conceivable that someone who's got a family or who just has other things come up in their life could have that limit hit them.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I'm harping on down thing in terms of, one, that save hygiene. Two, the boss fights can be a bit of a slog if you're not willing to invest the effort in keeping someone alive.
Yeah.
However, like I said, I've never had to go away and grind and just level up to beat it. I always have been able to push through by learning the boss, by smartly timing my my defense and my attacks and switching to the right elements, and that's super satisfying.
Yeah.
And then just existing in the world is its own reward. The side quests or just the little bits of flavor that you come across are really the reason that you're playing that game.
Yeah.
And it's been a great time. So that's Ni no Kuni, the first one, not the second one.
Right.
I fully anticipate that unless this shits the bed in some huge way that I'm not anticipating, I'll roll right on from this to the second one.
Absolutely.
It's a testament that I'm at my week limit tomorrow. And I fully intend to pay for a month of PlayStation Now,
right?
So I can finish the game uninterrupted.
Nice.
What other games on PlayStation Now are you interested in?
I was going to say, plus it has the added benefit of allowing me to have access to that catalog. And already this week, David just mentioned to me, he's like, "Hey, Alienation is on sale right now. It seems cool. I've been wanting to try it. You want to try it?" And it was on PlayStation Now. I'm like, "Hell yeah, let's go!" And without even thinking, without having to download the game, I was straight into playing with him. And it was a blast.
Oh, nice.
So Alienation is a sequel or spiritual successor to Dead Nation. It's by House Marquee. Twin stick shooter.
Right? It's like Smash TV, but yeah.
Dead Nation was awesome.
That was like the PlayStation apology for leaking people's information, is you can get a free copy of that.
Yeah. I remember playing it at your house, Dennis. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fantastic game. And this feels very much the same, just with aliens instead of zombies. Down to kind of managing your grenade cooldowns and kind of partnering with a friend to make sure all sides are covered. There are classes, technically, which I can't remember if there were or not in the first game. I don't think there were.
I think the guns were the classes.
Yeah, essentially. So this one has more dedicated classes. I'm playing the tank. David was playing the saboteur. The thing that makes it feel more team-oriented is you have a set of abilities that you need to activate them close to your friends to get your full effect. So mine, if I activate it when everyone's within a certain radius of me, everyone gets a shield that just blocks all damage in whichever way they're looking for a certain amount of time. David's calls in an airstrike on everyone's location. So that's kind of an interesting, because he'll start it and you can see its timing, and then you try to make sure that you're standing the proper distance away from each other to maximize the blast radius, but you have to be close to start it. So there's an element of coordination there that's very fun.
Yeah, so it rewards you for playing back to back.
Yep. Yeah. And there was a healthy amount. We actually weren't on chat because I can't run. There's another hit on PlayStation Now. You can't run party chat while you are on PlayStation Now, and there wasn't in-game chat that I could tell for Alienation. So we were just on the phone together.
Okay.
And there was a healthy banter of call-outs and communication throughout the level. So it's a real detriment if the game actually doesn't have it, that it's not there.
Yeah.
There is also a loot and level up system on the next level from what you had in Dead Nation. Dead Nation had a pretty healthy progression system.
Yeah.
You got significantly more powerful and unlocked different. It was more health. It felt like than anything crazy new. But this has a very Diablo-esque upgrade system, I would say, where you can get equipment drops. Each drop has, it's what it is, its level, and then its rarity with special, abilities attached to it. So one of my grenade drops was a rare mine that I could set, and then it would explode a certain number of times when someone walked over it, etc. So it just, it's got that kind of more shoot and loot feel. And I would put this almost closer to Diablo 3 than I would to Dead Nation.
Okay. Yeah.
Aesthetically, it looks very similar to Dead Nation.
Yes. Yeah. I haven't played long enough to see how that loot progression system works long term. There was some stuff where there was a screen where you could combine 3 of level 1 to get a level 2, and then combine 3 of level 2 to get a level 3, and then 3 of level 3 to get level 4, on and on up. And there was 15 rows of that shit. So
oh wow.
it could be kind of some free to play crap going on there. I don't know.
You'll hit a paywall.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. But man, how cool is it to be able to jump in? This one was significantly more timing based, required significantly more reflexive kind of play. And I didn't have a single hiccup with PlayStation Now.
That's awesome.
On that front, outside of the chat. Very satisfying kind of moment-to-moment gameplay combined with an addictive loot loop. And I'm excited to come back to it. I'm trying to hold off so David and I can play at the same level. Yeah. But I'm kind of tempted to just jump in and grind it.
How start a new character.
Did I get apart from? Yeah, I'll start to carry.
I'm surprised. So Alienation is a PS4 game. I didn't know that those were on PS Now.
They are. There's a ton of PS4 games on PS Now actually.
Huh.
I should look up a list because I want to talk about it. But it'll take some time. But yeah, I was impressed with the number of, again, especially on that first party camp, big name PS4 games there were. Yeah. I haven't tried one that is super, bleeding edge graphics or anything like that to see how that fares.
Right.
But if Alienation is any indication, PlayStation Now does a pretty damn good job with low latency.
Yeah, and in this kind of game, you have a lot of enemies on screen. It's throwing a lot at it that it could possibly choke on. Yeah.
Yeah, if it's any indication, they have a whole section dedicated to fighting games.
Okay. Huh.
I did notice that they had Uncharted up until the third one, but they did not have Uncharted 4 or Lost Legacy.
Yeah.
Correct. They did, however, have The Last of Us remaster, I believe.
Yeah, they do have that.
Yeah.
So they've got that. Let's see here. Dishonored Until Dawn. Red Dead Redemption was the big one they were touting.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. The Shadow of the Colossus reboot.
What?
Killzone, Shadowfall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a
Batman Arkham City.
God of Wars. Yeah, it looks like they have all the Batmans. Maybe not Arkham Knight, but...
Katamari Forever, which I was interested to try.
Yeah, well, that'd be fun with the kids, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the last time I looked at PS Now was when they added Demon's Souls to it. But I haven't considered it since then.
I think it says something that, especially when I was looking up and I didn't own it, that they seem to go to great lengths, Netflix style, to disguise just a pure list of the games that they have.
Right.
Like it's all some kind of category or fighting games, PlayStation exclusives, and you can never just get no, show me what you have.
God damn it, I want a bullet pointed list.
On their website, they do have an alphabetical list because I scrolled through to look at it, but
Where? I'm on the website right now myself. And
If you look at the games, it's like a picture of, I think, Uncharted, and you can do view all games.
There we go.
Inside baseball.
Is it in a format that you can do a Control F on and see? Because that's what I want.
We'll figure this out in real time.
Yeah. Confirmed. You can do that. Okay, good. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's got. Oh, it has The Last of Us, Left Behind.
Yeah.
Yep.
You did bring up a good point, though, that this is like great for kids because it's like, hey, here's the history of gaming over the last like 10 years. Here's like all the greatest hits. You know? That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, they have Wet. I was always curious to try that.
Wet is fun.
Yeah.
That's fun in like in a trashy way. It's a little bit like the aesthetic is a little bit God Hand, but the play is like a really fast paced third person shooter.
Okay, very cool. And again, would put to test the timing aspect of this.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm not talking because like I don't have a PS4, so my eyes glaze over.
No, I'm happy to hear you're having a good experience with this. To Jala's point, like if you don't have a PS4 or you have the ability to like PS3 games are not off limits to you if you have a PS3 plugged in. But it's good to hear that you're having a good experience with this, especially since I never ever hear about PlayStation Now.
Yeah. No, it's this feels like it's been swept under the rug almost.
Yeah.
But nothing but good things to say. And I've got I think 4 or 5 games kind of in. You can queue up and just add a game to your list to be like, okay, I want to come back to this at some point.
Nice.
Far Cry 3 is on that list. Wet is on that list now. There's one that's I think it's Shadow of the Beast or something like that. It's a 2D fighting game, like brawler that I thought looked really stylistic. So there's just a bunch. Katamari, as I said.
Oh god, Shadow of the Beast is terrible. Yeah, that's that is a remake.
No.
Yeah, that's like a high def remake of a very bad Sega Genesis game by Psygnosis. Yeah,
sad.
I mean, I play it if it doesn't cost you anything, but like. It's
well, they did a good job on the graphics at least.
Yeah.
That was enough to get me interested.
It's not quite very good.
No depth there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, but I've been enjoying my time with it. The 2 games that I tried worked well, and I would recommend them. And good Lord, I'm 15 hours into Ni no Kuni. I feel like I'm just finally getting to the point where they've actually introduced all the systems. Like I'm finally out of the tutorial.
Oh, jeez.
It's a freaking Pokemon game, and it took 6 hours to get to the point where I could get a Pokemon.
I mean,
like, it's crazy.
That's also very much of its era too. I mean, like that generation is just a fucking black hole for JRPGs. Like I'm happy you're having a lot of fun with it, but when you said like, 15 hours in, my guy's got the ability to block. It was like, why do you do that?
Yeah. Well, and I'm not sure. I need to go back and check. I could have just had the ability and it didn't tell me about it.
Yeah. But I mean,
which again, they've got
said
this amazing manual that I could pour over, but I'm not going to be that focused on it.
Right. Well, you also said you feel like you just got out of the tutorial. Like that was a problem in FF13, and no matter how charming this game is, that sounds like it's a problem here too.
Yeah, there's a
lot. Can I just
Final Fantasy 13?
Yeah. Go ahead, Jala.
Can I just insert that I was 15 hours into Breath of the Wild before I found all the shit that I needed to do to be able to block and do whatever the fuck. So, I only just felt like I had kind of finally gotten out of all the intro crap at that point. So that's a current game problem too.
Okay.
It's not a problem to people who are really into JRPGs.
Yeah. But I like a JRPG, but.
But short answer is
waiting until certain aspects of it they can we already know what I think about grinding.
It's been a minute. I can't think of the last JRPG that I played. It probably was Final Fantasy 13.
After your experience with FF13, I can't imagine you picking another one up.
Yeah, because I never finished it. I got to the end boss. Spent so many hours getting through what turned out to be the first phase, which, granted, I should have seen coming.
Yeah.
And then had made the Ben save mistake of not keeping him back up save to get out of the boss fight.
I don't like that being the trademark name now.
Can we not just away from this?
Also, some more backstage talk. Kole has brought out a knife now.
Kole felt something in his pocket. They thought, oh, what's that? Realized, oh, it's the knife that Kole carries around to open Amazon packages. And Kole decided, I need something not noisy to fidget with. So Kole has a knife in his left hand now. I'll move it to the right hand, which is farthest from Ben.
All right. Yeah. I just want the record to show this. This is my last testimonial.
Also his dominant throwing hand.
I was going to say, yeah, which one is his actual dominant hand? Because I'm left-handed. I don't know that Kole is left-handed.
I'm going to keep you guessing. Yeah. Did you have anything else, Dennis?
No, those were the big games and the big platform, I guess.
Yeah. I want to correct something with errata. I think earlier I said that Studio Ghibli did a movie called like Forbidden Forest or whatever. No, Hayao Miyazaki did a movie that I like called Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind.
Yeah.
Yes, which is very good, but that was before Studio Ghibli. I also didn't realize that Studio Ghibli did Grave of the Fireflies, which is one of the saddest fucking movies I've ever seen.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Do not show that to your children, Dennis.
No, don't ever watch that. No, don't do that.
Watch it on your own.
Yes. Yeah, I'm excited to watch these, but what I'm hearing is I need to carve out some time to just cry.
Some of them.
Yeah, some of them, they've got like a Pixar kind of quality to them. Yeah. Grave of the Fireflies, though, is very specifically about two brothers surviving after the nuclear bomb attacks. It's
geez, yeah.
It's great, but it's also
looks like that was only their second movie as well.
Yeah. Yeah, like, look at Totoro. Like Totoro would be a good...
Totoro. My little niece loves Totoro because I sent her the movie and then I also sent her a plush backpack.
Oh, yeah.
And she carries Totoro around with her everywhere, and nobody else, because she lives in some rural part of Pennsylvania, nobody knows what the fuck a Totoro is, but they know her Totoro, because she's got one. So.
Question, because kids can't read yet. I assume they've got subbed versions. Or dubbed versions.
Dubbed versions, yeah. And also my sister said that Totoro was the first movie that my niece sat through the entire thing.
Nice.
Huh.
So record breaking.
Yeah. Like Totoro is a fun and heartwarming story of a little kid and her friend who is a gigantic fat cat. So
yeah. From my birth year, no less.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Cool. So that sounds like we've talked about a bunch of stuff. Do we all want to button it up?
Let us button.
Okay. The credit. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this episode of The Level number 236. We really appreciate it. Speaking personally, here in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be at the Midwest Gaming Classic at a table with Gary for Watch Out for Fireballs, but we are also sharing a table with the Retronauts guys, and we're going to be doing a meetup, I believe, on Saturday night. Watch social media for all of those details. If you're listening and you are in an area where you can get to that, we would love to see you, to talk to you. Come up, introduce yourselves. Do not be scared. And if I know you by a name other than your given first name, please introduce yourself by that. Because, if I interact with you by your screen name, I'm going to want to know who you are. Yeah.
Yeah, don't be scared because Kole is very tall.
Yeah. Yeah. So I will not harm you.
You're like Totoro.
Kole is Totoro. I like that.
Yeah. But otherwise, all the usual stuff you can do. Please continue. Follow in who was it? I know him as Chicken Riggies, but what's his given name?
Jack.
Yeah, follow in Jack's footsteps and do a review on Apple Podcasts if you can.
And mention Jala. That is the bonus point criteria.
Yes.
One person mentioned me. I'm happy that somebody recognized my existence. But honestly though, it's just people who don't know about the show, if they know that there is not just a bunch of dudes, that there's actually a girl on the show, that might actually draw, because diversity, that's the thing. So.
Puts us ahead of about 80% of the internet. So
a good chunk.
Yeah, so you know all that stuff, Patreon, things like that. But otherwise, tell your friends if you can and come back next week. We would love to have you. Am I forgetting anything?
Watch on Twitch.
Yes.
That's what I want to do with Subnautica.
Yeah, no, definitely watch on Twitch. I'm going to try and get like a Twitch community set up, at least with the hosts, so we can all share stuff and do things. So we'll share our stuff, but all that.
Oh, you guys are going to drag me back down the rabbit hole because.
What do you mean?
So the thought was, oh, that's another thing. You can't stream or take screenshots with PlayStation Now.
Okay.
And then the second thought was because I wanted to show you guys a picture of the most whimsical vagina I've ever seen.
Oh, no.
Okay.
So now I need to explain myself.
Okay.
And I'm just doing this with my head in my hands. So there's one of the whole side quests is you go to the fairy island to find out why there are no new baby fairies being born. And you're shot out of a cannon and into the mouth of the mountain-sized mama fairy to go find the baby fairies in her tummy and then get, quote-unquote, reborn with them as your only way out.
Okay.
Which
the Mama Fairy looks like one of the mountains or hills from Super Mario World.
Yes. So ultimately what happens is you are shot out of the volcano on her head, but the imagery for while you are in that stage is, again, the most whimsical vagina I've ever seen. Like it's decorated like a daycare.
Late contender for title, but
I just knew. I was like, we got so far through this episode without doing anything blue.
But you had to ruin it for us.
I could not because I was laughing to myself so hard in the lead up. Anyway, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Just had to get that in as a parting shot.
Just had to save us. Cool. So I've been Kole Ross. You can watch my streams on Twitch at Duckfeed.tv.
I've been Dennis Furia. I am ashamed of myself. Don't worry. And I am Green Laser 73 on Twitch.
I'm Jala-chan in places, all of the places, any of the places. You can find me there if I am to be found.
I'm Ben Merkel at Merkleby on Twitch.
And stick around for some titles. So I only have one, the most whimsical vagina I've ever seen. That is not technically obscene. Go ahead.
Yeah, I also have rearranged it to daycare vagina too because you said it was decorated like a daycare, and that was pretty rad. But I have a few other ones.
Okay, good.
Jump scare fart. I'm sorry, that was funny.
Yep, I had that one.
And then there is but one Gary fish.
That's pretty good.
There's a cannibalism option.
There is but one Gary fish, and then there is a cannibalism option.
Yes.
Okay. Dennis?
Yeah, I had jump scare fart as well. The full 4 words is Outlast jump scare fart.
Okay.
Yeah, I just took the game name out.
Yeah.
Stylize it. I had Oceancraft.
Okay.
Referring to Subnautica.
All right.
And then I had, because we love titles with Ben's name in them, the Ben Save Mistake.
Oh, that's great.
Okay. Ben?
I just had Throw Simulator.
What?
Throw Simulator? The Assassin's Creed game.
Oh. Okay. So the one by votes is Jump Scare Fart. We all laughed at that. That sounds good. I'm fine with it not being the most whimsical vagina I've ever seen, but that has to be the biggest contender for it. Like that is the latest that a title could enter the show before it was us talking about the titles. I'm going to set
Oscar bait, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to set I'm going to set a clear delineation. The title can never come from the discussion about what the title is going to be. You know,
that's fair.
So
that's
the
very
latest
fair.
is after we say our Twitter handles,
right?
That's
right.
the only possible furthest it can go.
Yes, yeah. So like the cutoff is the outro music and the Easter egg stinger. So, are we fine with Jump Scare Fart?
Love it.
Okay.
Sure.
Cool. Well, I think I'm going to show Ben a Pokemon Picross.
Sweet.
That sounds great.
Dude,
If you say
yeah.
it, don't say it anymore. Otherwise, I won't. I will just glaze over and I won't know what you're talking about.